In part 1 of this documentary series, we explored how the country's most well-known animal charities may not be doing what you think. As the pet euthanasia crisis in America continues to worsen, many of these groups, including the ASPCA, Humane World for Animals, and PETA, are doing little to solve the problem. Tax records show these organizations collectively raise more than $700 million annually, while hundreds of thousands of cats and dogs are killed in animal shelters each year. Despite the focus on homeless pets in their advertising, only a small fraction of the money raised by these groups makes its way to local pet shelters. So where is the money really going? Join us for part 2 of this documentary series as we follow the money and discover what the ASPCA, Humane World for Animals, and PETA are really doing with your donations.
Help rescue animals who are suffering.
A significant chunk of your money is going straight into their pockets in the form of executive salaries. ASPCA CEO Matt Bergschacker is paid more than $1.2 million a year, and hundreds of other ASPCA employees make six-figure salaries. But a lot of money is also being used to support a radical animal liberation agenda, which is very different from animal welfare. Animal welfare advocates are people such as veterinarians, animal scientists, or volunteers at your local pet shelter who want animals to be treated well. Animal liberation, on the other hand, is an ideology. Followers of the doctrine believe it is morally wrong to rely on animals for farming, food, travel, and tourism, or even to own animals all together.
There should never be another dog brought into existence, or a cat brought into existence, or a guinea pig brought into existence, or a hamster brought... No, it should stop. It was wrong to begin with.
As the name suggests, they want to liberate animals from any human care. How are these groups advancing this ideology? Let's start by taking a look at PETA. PETA has compared chickens to Jewish victims of the Holocaust and farmers to Nazis. It has likened zoos to slavery and purebred dogs to the KKK. And it lobbies for bans on breeding French bulldogs, beagles, and other purebreds. They even have gone so far as to oppose the use of service animals like seeing eye dogs. PETA's founder Ingrid Newkirk once noted, "In the end, I think it would be lovely if we stop this whole notion of pets altogether." She has also called for the killing of outdoor cats. In PETA's worldview, many animals are better off dead than fed. PETA's hardline views even apply to human diets. The group is against eating any animal protein because from their perspective, all meat is murder. PETA even opposes honey, saying beekeeping is exploitation. Other aspects of PETA's operation have been criticized as hypocritical and even cruel. At its headquarters in Virginia, the group runs an animal shelter that has euthanized more than 50,000 cats and dogs since 1998. In recent years, the euthanasia rate has climbed to as high as 78%. While PETA stirs up controversy in the media and online, the ASPCA and Humane World have a more subtle approach: lobbying and pressure campaigns. Both groups spend millions to lobby lawmakers on efforts that are largely aimed at attacking farmers who raise animals. The ASPCA is leading a coalition that is calling to pause the construction of certain types of farms by 2040. It also wants the government to use taxpayer dollars to pay farmers to convert their operations from raising animals to growing plants. The ASPCA is also targeting your local supermarket. The organization is pressuring food retailers to no longer sell affordable animal protein options and limiting them to selling high-cost eggs, chicken, and other products. They want everyone to pay Whole Foods prices for their meat. You may be asking why a group that runs fundraising ads on television featuring cats and dogs is focused on farm policy. The former CEO of the ASPCA, Ed Sayers, has been asking the same question and has called on the organization to get back to basics.
Those resources could really be used to be helping shelters almost in the way that we used to do it in 2010 and 2011, to just restart that grants program and give those local shelters some consideration. And I'm disappointed that that hasn't really manifested in the ASPCA today.
Sharing many of the same values as PETA, Humane World is also undermining the consumption of animal protein by lobbying to inflate consumer prices for eggs, bacon, and other products. In fact, their CEO is a former PETA lawyer, and its longtime food policy director also came from PETA. Humane World does this by attacking modern farming practices and pushing for regulations that require expensive changes to how and where animals are raised. The goal? Drive up animal protein prices with a patchwork of complicated regulations so fewer Americans eat meat.
Proposition 12.
California's Prop 12.
For example, the group spent millions pushing a new policy in California that bans the sale of regular eggs and pork in supermarkets. The result? At the beginning of 2026, the price of eggs and bacon is some 50% more expensive in San Francisco compared to the rest of the country.
Really? Did we do that?
The group's advocacy is not limited to pork and eggs. It is also demanding that the chicken industry commit to changes in poultry genetics, stocking density, and other practices that will drastically increase consumer prices and negatively harm the environment. Humane World also pressures companies like those that supply college dining halls to stop serving meat, eggs, and dairy products. Their short-term goal is to have half of the food served at these facilities be vegan by 2027. PETA, ASPCA, and Humane World raise hundreds of millions of dollars using images of cats and dogs suffering in shelters. The facts, however, clearly show a more extreme agenda is driving these groups. When they say they just want to help animals, their meaning may be very different from what you would expect.